What's up, everybody? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin, John.
And we have yet another album review for you. And we're kind of diving into the underground and doing something a little weird. And it turned out to be actually weirder than I expected, even though I actually know this band. So we're going to go over the newest offering from Oozing Wound. We Cater to Cowards. This also comes out on the 27th of January on Thrill Jockey Records. This band formed in 2011 in Chicago. This is their 5th album overall. I've been listening to them since, I think I picked up 3 of their albums like a year or 2 ago, and I was like, this is really cool. It was, at that time, very much like just noisy crossover thrash, a lot of hardcore mixed in, a lot of really great song titles, like namely on the album High Anxiety, you have a song called Tween Shitbag, and Surrounded by Total Fucking Idiots.
I mean, my God, I can relate.
I totally relate. But it was mostly their debut Retrash that I really got into. And immediately I thought, it was like, wow, Retrash, is that what Five Finger Death Punch does whenever they release a new album? That almost sounds appropriate. But going into this album, that was kind of what I had in my mind. Like, I really liked their very punky, thrashy, just, I don't know, like, whatever they do. It's very unhinged. There's a lot of twisted humor and great song titles. And we definitely still have some great song titles in here. But this is a lot different than what I was expecting. This is almost more akin to like weird 90s bands that weren't necessarily metal, but they were kind of too heavy for like, you know, the alternative and grunge scene. Like, think the Jesus Lizard, Helmet, Quicksand, like early Smashing Pumpkins, like around Gish.
Local H.
And even like early Nirvana. And just flat out noise acts like Unsane, like kind of all that wrapped together, and it's fucking noisy, it's heavy, it's kind of unhinged, and definitely weird.
I actually have never heard this band. This is my first meet and greet with Oozing Wound.
It's just fun saying that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much everything that Nick said, just noisy, unhinged music. I don't know if I would even call it heavy. It's got heavy moments, but it mostly is just noisy, kind of chaotic stuff. Midlife crisis actor and Chudley, and the opening track Bank Account Anxiety, which I can 100% relate to. For the most part, it's just droning riffs and a guy screaming into a microphone, but the drums keep it busy.
Yeah.
I do like the busy drums.
The busy drums are fun. I like the way the drums sit in the mix too. They're nice and fucking loud. They sound
punchy.
They sound great, honestly.
Yep.
Actually, they sound more out front than I would say some of the guitars and the bass. But yeah, like droning on kind of heavy, dirty sounding riffs, like kind of Melvins-ish without like the big sludgy heft to it. Mm-hmm. Even though the bass tone's pretty fucking gnarly on here. But yeah, they kind of just like to lay on riffs, you know, maybe occasionally throw in like breakdowns. It's mostly very groovy, like outside of the track Hypnic Jerk. I don't even know what the fuck that means. That is probably like the lone really fast track on here, and actually a little bit of a callback to their thrashier days, but honestly it's almost kind of like hardcore meets black metal. Like, you get these droning, dissonant, almost tremolo riffs and blast beats and this weird like kind of syncopated breakdown, and dudes yelling about something. I don't know. While
there's not a whole lot going on, it is very hypnotic. And that kind of kept my attention a little bit. There's definitely no leads.
No. Well, kinda. I mean, it depends on, like, you think the noisy soundscapes are leads?
I think the closest that they get to leads is on the instrumental track, Crypto Fash. It does have some really kind of neat, kind of creepy melodies almost.
I like that.
And it is centric more around the riff than it is anything else going on. And maybe that's because there's no lyrics.
Yeah, I like the rhythm to it, the crawling, creepy riff that kind of rolls through there, and this syncopated bass, like it's just following the bass drum and just kind of just like it's just, you know, doing what it should, you know, providing a good backbone to it. But it's a creepy, twisted instrumental. But I don't know, it kind of just sticks with you. Even though it really doesn't change, like it kind of just keeps it going, maybe builds a little bit with some like interesting atmosphere.
And that can be spoken for a lot of this record.
Yeah.
it keeps your attention in the fact that it just keeps kind of droning. When they do drone on, the groove that they throw is actually really infectious.
Yeah, honestly, you kind of get stuck bobbing your head to some of these songs, but it's that sort of caustic noise, that unhinged sort of punk energy, and for me, it was kind of like I had expectations going by their previous albums. Again, like I think Retrash is fucking awesome. This is so vastly different than that, but there are some really cool elements on here, like the song Old Sludge. Probably the most riffy song on it. It does sound like a Melvin song, like it's just kind of lumbering, slow. It's fucking ugly as hell. And there is like a little interesting additional instrumentation there where there's just a piano, but they're only hitting one key really fast. And I just thought, it was like, well, I mean, that counts as having a piano on here. And going over the archives, they said they had like a saxophone player and a trumpet player in here. I didn't hear them. But there's a lot of twisted, like noisy soundscapes that maybe they were just playing and then taking some weird filters and like, let's just make it sound like a synthesizer. Or
that's possible. Feedback. That's possible.
It is possible.
Some of what you hear that you think may be a riff or something that drones that you think may be something else could be, a trumpet run through a filter.
And even in these droning songs, I think there are some like clever breakdowns thrown in, especially on the song Total Existence Failure, which, yeah, no, I feel that one too. There's like this cool sort of anthemic stomp to it. Like it's just a simple, straightforward, like kind of hardcore lead in, but it drives the song. And again, you have that syncopated bass behind it. And, as much as I want riffs on top of these, it is kind of cool just to hear them do mostly like just weird atmospheric stuff. Again, kind of comparable to a band like Unsane. But I think this album is missing riffs. Like a lot of this is just squealing and making as much noise as possible. And again, droning on and hanging on in these spots for kind of longer than they should be.
Well, yeah, you get 10 songs on a Noise album and you think it'd be shorter, but it's 41 minutes. Like, Total Existence Failure, for some reason, was almost 5.5 minutes. I guess one of the heaviest moments on this album for me would be the last track, Face Without Eyes. That did have some heavy riffs in it. It wasn't really the focus, though.
No, again, it was another strange one. Honestly, the drum beat kind of reminded me a little bit of Soundgarden's Jesus Christ Pose. Like, it's that sort of like interesting turnover incorporated into the rhythm. And when I first looked at it, and granted it's in a reverse order, I thought they did a cover of Billy Idol's Eyes Without a Face. And it was like, wait, hold on. I almost want to hear that. And then I looked at the song. Oh no, they flipped it around. Maybe that's a reference though. I don't know. But now I kind of want to hear that because I actually went back and listened to it and watched the video for it. It was like, wow, I haven't listened to this song in fucking forever. But again, to the point, like, these songs are sometimes a lot longer than they need to be. Like, Between Cults. Granted, I like this stomping rhythm. Like, it's almost sort of like a punky High on Fire. Like, it's just kind of dirty sounding.
Yeah.
But it literally stays on the same drum beat the entire song. And I think it's the longest track on the album. And you're like, we could move on. And, granted, there is like a kind of an interesting end where it sort of spirals out into just atmospheric weirdness on the guitar. And it is kind of interesting to hear it go from like feedback and just spacey sound effects to legit shredding. Like there's some shredding that pops up in there. It's like, wow, that's kind of interesting how they transitioned from all the noise to just like, oh, wow, there's just like ripping some cool fucking scales there. And then right back to the noise. But man, that song just hangs on too long to just one thing. And that is sort of a baseline complaint on this entire album is, granted, whether or not it's a good moment or just like, kind of a so-so moment, they're still there for too long. These songs don't like transitioning. And sometimes I feel like they just stay in that zone because they have one thing they want to do on that song and just make that long-winded. Whether it's a twisted vocal rant, which the vocals are screamed to the point of exhaustion at some points, and then occasionally like almost sung, like trying to be tuneful, but they're kind of atonal and again sounds exhausted, or just a weird guitar part.
Well, I mean, that's what reminded me a lot of early Nirvana. A lot of these vocal patterns and vocal lines and just the screams and the noise remind me a lot of Kurt Cobain in his very early days.
And yeah, like, all the spacey guitar effects, like, yeah, it does add to the atmosphere. It makes it maybe like deeper listen in some respects. Like, you know, it is kind of hypnotic. It is kind of interesting to have in the background and have your friends go, what the fuck are you listening to? And then you tell them it's Oozing Wound, and then you giggle a little bit because you got to say the word ooze. Because it's just kind of fun. See?
Yep.
He even just thought of it, and it's fun.
Yep. Oozing.
I like minimalistic primal music. Like, that shit's still really fucking fun to me. Like, you know, like old school crust punk and just like filthy shit like that. But there comes a point where like songs hang out too long, and that's again sort of the issue here. Like, you can do the intense, just sort of greasy, nasty, fucking dirty sound for so long, but if you're not doing anything with it in terms of like moving on, actually like adding some cool transitions there, it gets stagnant, and that's kind of the issue on most of this. So overall, I'm going to give this 2.5 stars. I do like some of this, and I think it is really good. I just prefer their older sound. Like, those earlier albums that I got into initially kind of set a standard for me, and this almost feels like a different band. Like, there's definitely elements that are similar to their earlier stuff for me, but for the most part, like that thrashy energy, that really unhinged sort of shit, you know, it's kind of lost on here. In fact, this album is kind of completely absent of thrash. Now, I kind of like the weird throwback to, again, that weird era in the late 80s and early 90s where you just had this different, heavy, loud music that may or may not have been considered metal, but it was still appealing kind of to the same crowds. But I don't know, like, I just don't think it's quite done as well as some of the bands that may have influenced them on this one. Again, I urge you to check it out for yourself. You know, there might be some stuff in here. Again, if you were a fan of Unsane, Helmet, Quicksand, the Jesus Lizard, yeah, you might find some stuff on here you would really like. So yeah, check it out.
I'm going to go ahead and give this a 3, having never heard this band and not knowing any of the background. While I found it kind of boring, at the same time, I also find it kind of hypnotic and kind of easy to zone out to, and I was definitely bobbing my head. The drum work is entertaining. It's nothing overly complex by any means, but those cool tom and snare hits and just kind of bouncy thing, I don't know, made it kind of neat. Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on, and I wish I could say more about it because I hear so many homages, quote-unquote, paid from my early years of listening to alternative and grunge music and whatnot, and that was kind of neat. But, I mean, it's a 3 because I think it was cool, but it's nothing overly spectacular either. So that's where I'm sitting. I don't have a whole lot more to say because there wasn't a whole lot going on. But it was alright. Yep, and also check it out for yourself because, again, who the hell are we? Besides Necrotic Nick and Jammin John at Thralls of Metal, you know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, otherwise, go ahead and listen to it for yourself, and if you like that early era of kind of metal, kind of not music, then you're definitely probably going to like this. So yeah,
Check out their earlier stuff though. I really dig that shit. Actually, you probably dig it too. And yeah, I mean, like, again, if you're a giant like post-hardcore fan, I'm sure you're going to find something you'll like on this. So if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below at thrallsmetal.com. Our store is there, as well as our Patreon link, so go ahead and check those out. We are eventually going to load up on more stuff on the store, but for now we have other things we are definitely working very hard on, namely
Denver Death Fest. We're now about to enter the 3rd week of band announcements, which is pretty sweet. And actually on this next lineup of announcements, there's only going to be 1 local band, which means the other 4 are nationals. So we're starting to dip into the national acts, which is pretty neat. April 20th, 420 in Denver. Come on now. Who doesn't want to do that? I definitely want to do that. But yeah, 420 through the 22nd in Denver, Colorado, we will be doing the Denver Death Fest. I'm super fucking excited. This is really cool to watch come together. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to definitely Swinging News Productions. Thank you, Zach. We couldn't do this without you. But yeah, I'm stoked. That's coming up real soon. It's neat to watch it come together. Although it's been a headache a lot of times, I do like doing this too. It's been a great experience. So yeah, watch out for Denver Death Fest. It's coming.
Which announcement are the Spin Doctors going to be on?
The Spin Doctors will be on no announcement, -1.
I think that's a good day 1 band, man. You gotta fucking get that headlining act right there.
Just go ahead now. Shut up.
No, but seriously, Spin Doctors are there. He already told me. And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following. It's absolutely amazing, again, to see this channel grow, and love you guys. And I think of nothing new to say at the end of these. I can't think of anything else other than just thank you, because that's the honest emotion. You guys fucking rule. You guys keep us going. Plenty more content in the future. We've got a bunch of shit we're working on, and of course tons of reviews, and so far 2023 is starting off pretty decent.
Well. I like it. I like where things are going. There's going to be a lot of cool things that we're doing this year. You've already seen a couple things, and if you're in the YouTube chat right now, there's also check out our YouTube channel. Obviously, hold on.
Don't do it. It's terrible. It's the worst.
That's not what I meant.
It's not porn.
We're about to play.
But it could be.
We're about to play a game of Would You Rather. So please dive into that thread and give us some questions. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, no, you've already thrown in some questions that are just wow, dude. Fucking Devin, dude. What the hell, dude? Anyway, again, thank you all so damn much, and of course, we will catch you later.